And I just wanted to cry when she was talking about Steven Spielberg. I just, how much she adored him and how she just really felt like he was this father figure for her and he kept her safe. And, I feel like that in life is something that, people step into our lives and into roles that are so significant like that sometimes. And they just don't really sometimes even know what an impact they really have on our lives, even though we can kind of tell them. And I just thought that was just so beautiful the way she talked about him.
Welcome to Amy Liz Harrison's podcast, Eternally Amy, a mum of eight's journey from jail to joy. A Gen Xer who overcame her struggle with alcohol to become a best-selling author and mental health advocate. She shares stories of hope and offers ideas for others struggling with mental health challenges, spirituality, ADHD, or maybe just family, travel, and logistics. One thing is for sure, you'll leave with something to chew on. And now, here's your host, Amy Liz Harrison, with your mystery meat sandwich.
Greetings, compadres. Greetings. Guess what? It's time for the Boozeless Book Club. Yes, it is. Here's the exciting thing about today, though. We read Wildflower by Drew Barrymore. Now, while this is a bit of an older memoir, I mean, who doesn't love Drew Barrymore? Does it matter? I think not. So I'm going to have Carolyn read the blurb. But before I do that, I have to say that I'm outside right now because it is a gorgeous day and I just couldn't bring myself to go inside. So you may hear a DC-10 airplane. I don't know, some kind of something happening out on the lake here. Moments ago, I heard Tootsie Roll. So, all bets are off, but I'm happy because I'm outside. So I apologize. And Kyle, sorry if you need to do a lot of audio cleanup. I apologize for that too. And I didn't even introduce everybody. You know these two, you know the drill. This is Alysse Bryson, and she is our sober curator, founder, CEO, all of the above. She's a vice president of community relations. Did I get that right this time? I am not reading from a thing. So pretty much, is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty close. Pretty close. We'll go with that.
We're going to go with that. Okay.
Yeah.
For intentional sidekick. And then Carolyn Bunn is here, of course, and she does marketing. She's my business manager. She's all things like social media. She also has a travel blog because every time I ever text her, she's like, oh, I just landed in Turkey or in, Bangladesh or on the Arctic ice cap or wherever it is. So jealous.
That's great. Because when I call you, I'm like leaving Target. So that's cool.
Cool. But you know what? That's where I need you to be because you always find amazing products when shopping that I suddenly need. Like, for example, a little ET figurine at a gift shop in Las Vegas. Like, you just never know. So I need you at Target or other places. Okay, on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn to read the blurb.
Okay, so Wildflower is a portrait of Drew Barrymore's life and stories as she looks back on the adventures, challenges, and incredible experiences she's had throughout her life. It includes tales of living in her first apartment as a teenager and how laundry may have saved her life, getting stuck under a gas station overhang on the cross-country road trip, saying goodbye to her father in only a way he could have understood, and many more journeys and lessons that have led her to the successful, happy, and healthy place she is in today.
So this is, it's little vignettes, right? So it's little short stories, if you will, from Drew's life, as I mentioned. And I mean, right off the bat, if I was going to bring up one that I immediately related to, it was the one where she got stuck in the parking garage and she was trying to essentially like bust out of this parking garage with her vehicle. And I was just laughing because, people were watching her and basically all of my embarrassing driving stories have taken place in front of an audience. So that's the one that I related to most. But I was wondering what you guys thought, if there was one that just instantly stuck out as something that you identified with.
I just love her so much. I mean, we've all followed her since we were kids, right? Since she was a kid. And this book is extra special to me simply because when it did come out back in 2015, she came to Seattle and did a book signing, and I was there and I got to meet her and she signed my book. And I've got evidence of that you can see right here in case anybody wants to know how she signs her book with a heart and a DB. And when I got up to the desk that she was signing the books, I had two copies. I had one for me and a girl that I went to high school with, Angie. Hi, Angie. She saw on Facebook that I was coming to this event, and she called me and she was like, if I ship you my book, if I overnight it to you, can you get it signed for me? I was like, yeah, I mean, I can try. I don't know. And Jacob, my son, had just gotten out of the hospital. He'd been in the hospital for a week after a pretty major surgery. He has Crohn's disease. And so it'd been a rough week at the hospital. And so to go and like see Drew Barrymore, who's like child icon in my eyes, and listen to her talk about her book and have her sign the book, I thought I was going to be really cool when I walked up and just be like, hi, can you sign my book? So great to meet you, but I was not cool. I completely spazzed out and started screaming, oh my God, like I didn't even recognize my own voice. It was like I had an out of body experience, and she screamed back to me, oh my God, I love you too. And like, let's be clear, she probably just does that with everybody, like has some great reaction for when people go all idiotic on her. But in that moment, I felt like maybe she did really love me. And I think she's the kind of person that does truly love her fan base. I think she does. And I think what I love about Drew, whether it's her getting stuck in a car garage, is like, she is that girl next door, that klutzy, kind of awkward, these things only happen to me persona that like that really resonates with me, it's not that she didn't go through her own sexy phase, but like if you see her now on her talk show, she's in the oversized suits with the big blouses and bows and just living her best life. And so all the scenarios that I find that she's willing to share with us, I just find them so relatable. Like the garage one. It's like, we've all been locked in a garage. We've all done this. We've all done that. So she just has this way of, when she shares her stories, just making us feel like we're her friend. I don't know. There were so many different gems throughout the whole thing. The other thing that is not lost on me is, I don't know if she was sober at the time that she wrote this book, but she definitely was not sober after writing this book, because she's come out in the last year talking about how she's sober again. She's had quite the journey over her whole career with alcohol and drug addiction. And so it does make me super curious of like, what didn't make it into the book that's part of that journey too. And I'll always be curious if we're going to ever hear more from her on, the underbelly of the not so glamorous, funny, cutesy stories that she has. Cause she has those too, which I think just gives her more depth and weight.
Okay, so I love that you kicked it off that way by talking about the fact that you met her and everything. Not only is that a huge flex, but also the way that you described that scene when you met her is just like how I see her interact, with her guests when I'm watching little snippets of the show. Saw one recently that someone posted or sent me, or I don't know. It came across my field of vision. And somebody in her audience was crying. And
yes, I saw that one too.
Yeah.
She was like, are you okay? Are you okay?
All right. She's all concerned. And then the person was like, no, I just love you. I'm just so excited to be here. And she was like, oh, that's all, but it was so cute because she was genuinely like, she stopped in her tracks and she was concerned immediately. And I just thought that was so, I don't know, just so kind and compassionate. And I was like, dang it, I want you as a neighbor.
I also love that, like, she is not afraid to get on the gram with no makeup, nerdy glasses, dirty hair. Like, she's just not afraid to just be who she is.
Yeah.
And like that to me is a woman who's learned how to be comfortable in her own skin.
Yeah.
And that is not an easy feat.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder how much of that is also, which I love about that she's just so real. And the fact that she comes from such a iconic, you know, family that has such a history of acting. And but it wasn't like her childhood growing up was like super glamorous or anything like that. And so I think that she was introduced to it at such a young age. It wasn't like, oh, well, you need to look the hottest and look the most glamorous in order to become the actor that people, want you to be. And so I love that as well, that she's just herself.
Little fun fact for you, just because Amy already threw out the whole E.T. reference, but did you know that when they were filming E.T., they did it so that she never saw E.T. as an unmanned puppet? It was always alive whenever she was around. Steven Spielberg was very intentional because she was so young at making her believe that E.T. was as real could be. And so she never saw him like turned off, like not animated or moving or talking. Like she never saw that. So I just thought that was a really, like, the fact that he went to, I mean, especially back then, like went to that length to make her feel comfortable on the set as the youngest person on the set. I thought that was interesting.
That is really interesting. I had no idea.
Can I also tell you guys another fun fact that her and I have in common?
I'm loving it.
So, of course, you've seen 50 First Dates, right? So I went to that aquarium. It's on Oahu.
Mm-hmm.
I peed in the dolphin tank.
You peed in it?
I did. I peed in the dolphin tank. I really had to go. And it just seemed like such an ordeal to get out and get back in. And we were there. I was there with a friend, a sober friend. This was in recovery. I did this. We had gone to Oahu for a conference. And we barely went to any of the conference. But in walking along Waikiki, somehow my friend had signed us up for one of those timeshare seminars. And if we did the timeshare seminar, we could get pics of our tickets to, a cruise or swim with the dolphins or whatever. And apparently it was her life goal to swim with dolphins. It was not mine. But I am all about taking one for the team. If I'm with a friend and they really want to do something, as long as it's not like jumping out of an airplane, which I wouldn't and couldn't do because of my heart, you know me, I'm ride or die. I'm in. But yeah, so and then I was of course very intrigued because this is where they filmed 50 First Dates. And I thought she looked great in that movie. I love the long, blonde, beachy hair. I love the whole concept of that movie. I thought her and Adam Sandler was so sweet together. But yeah, I peed in the dolphin tank. I did. And you heard it here first. This is not something I usually lead with.
You know what? It is unfortunate, Alyse, that you are so guarded. So, a little constructive feedback, you might want to just, be willing to just open up a little bit about yourself.
Not be so mysterious.
Right.
I do have a picture of me with a dolphin from this exact trip. So maybe can we somehow clip this all together and make some like really cute dolphin peeing Instagram reel? Can we make that happen?
Yeah.
Send me the picture of you with the dolphin.
I will. I'll find it. I'll definitely find it.
We'll come up with something for sure with the story.
See, okay, so this is off topic, but I feel like I need to throw in here that, I grew up in the Bay Area in Mountain View, California. And in Redwood City, there was this amusement park in the 80s, and it was called Marine World USA. Now, they ended up shutting down for some not great treatment of animals. So I do apologize for that. And I don't want to offend anybody. But I want to say that I saw a dolphin show at Marine World, and that led me to want to go see Judy, the water skiing elephant. So you can Google this. It was a thing at Marine World. They had an elephant who would be part of the water skiing show. because they'd have these girls doing the synchronized, moves on like the water skis. Do you know what I'm talking about? And
Yep.
then they'd have Judy either leading the girls or behind the girls or in her own act. And sidebar, I think Judy, the water skiing elephant, was one of the reasons they got shut down. So it's a Six Flags now. So there you go. But that's the only thing that I can even possibly relate to Dolphin Tank. And I didn't pee in it, but I kind of wish that I would have. I think that would have just taken it up a notch. It would have been a cooler experience.
Yeah. Well, I just figured, I mean, they're peeing in it. So what does it matter if I do? Like I don't know.
Thing.
But I don't pee in pools, just to be clear. So don't come at me now.
But no, listen, I pee in the ocean. And I'm
sure,
way willing to admit that.
I'll pee in an ocean or lake, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. No problem.
Yeah, I'm with
I feel like that's fair game.
But have you ever told your kids when they were little that if you pee in the pool, it's going to turn the pool a different color? Because Libby and I were talking about this the other day, and she actually believed that for a very, very, very long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I believed that for a very long time as well. And I think my kids, I've never told them that because I know that now it's like, they can find out via Google really quickly that I'm telling them a falsehood. And it just happens too often that I get fact checked anyway by my kids. So, yeah. But that was we were told all kinds of tall tales like that growing up. If you eat the crust on your toast, your hair will get curly. What? So in the 80s, I was all over that. I ate so many toast crusts and yet still poker straight hair. So go figure.
I haven't heard that one before.
Really?
No, definitely not. No.
I think my mom just didn't want to pay for a perm. But bringing it back to Drew's beach waves in 51st
Way to bring that full circle. Well done.
Okay, so
that's the sign of a good podcast host right there.
I saw myself heading off into a direction that I was just not sure I was ever going to come back from. So I had to kind of do something. But my favorite, and this is this is not about the book, so I apologize, but it is about Drew. My favorite kind of lesser known movie that is not often mentioned, in her list of, all the big ones that she's been in, but I love, and I can't remember if this is the actual name. Is it called Blended? It's another Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Yep. I love that movie. And I just love the whole concept. They go to Africa and they're like on the verge of divorce and they're just trying to like get their relationship to this place of like non-hatred kind of thing. And I just love that about Drew, that she's not, I don't know, she's done so many things and she's just not afraid to touch some subjects. Go ahead.
Well, I think that's great that you mentioned that. And I am just pleased to see that she's winning the TV show wars right now, right? Because years ago, way before the pandemic, back when I used to work at a TV station, we knew that Ellen was retired. Ellen would be coming to an end, and Ellen obviously filled in when Oprah exited. And so who's gonna fill in that afternoon time frame, that after school but before evening news time frame? That was just this coveted hour of television, right? And I can remember sitting in so many meetings that they were like, what do you think about this person? What do you think about this person? And like Drew was never on any of those lists. And they brought in these big research companies and they were showing this is why we think this person would do well. Kelly Clarkson was a front runner for a really long time. And I know that she does have a TV show now, but like, I don't watch it. It's not on my radar, so I can't even speak to it. But I just love that Drew is in the seat that she's in right now with her show because, and maybe, I love it in part because it is kind of celebrity focused, I think. But it's, I just love her, how she sits on the stage. I just love her very casual, like she'll be on the floor, she'll be sitting cross-legged. Like she's just very, very, and I just imagine that the Drew that we're seeing on that stage is not that different at home. Maybe quieter and without as much makeup, but like, no, I just feel like she brings her true self out. And I think in this book, she brought her true self out.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think she has multiple books. I don't know. I should go back and look, but I don't think this is her only one by any means, is what I'm saying. But I felt like this one was just a really delightful read.
I love all the stories she had in it, and I think like some of them were so relatable, or they just made her seem more relatable. And one of my favorite ones is when she gave her husband food poisoning with the pancakes. She like gave it what was like undercooked pancakes, and yeah, and
As one does.
he was trying to be like the supportive husband, and he's like, nope, this is not, nope,
Not happening.
Spent the rest of the day in the bathroom. Yeah.
Yep.
What if you each had to name your favorite Drew Barrymore TV series or movie? Do you have like a this is the one?
Oh, I can't answer that because I am a huge fan of ET. And so I just feel like I have to say ET.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the one where she was like Grossy Josie, where she was like the high school
Never Been Kissed.
Never Been
Yeah.
Kissed. I loved Never Been Kissed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I loved Never Been Kissed.
My favorite one was The Wedding Singer that she did with Adam Sandler.
Love it.
That's a classic. That's a classic.
And I think
remember
gave me
seeing
so-
that in the theater. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that gave me so much appreciation for like hearing they're not hearing, but seeing her and Adam Sandler do like future movies like 50 First Dates and the other one that you just mentioned, Amy. But I loved like hearing that in the book about how they have such a great working relationship, and hearing how they work together. I thought that was really fun.
Mhm.
But what's funny is, so like I was a little bit younger when ET came out. I mean, I don't remember, but I was young enough to where that movie scared the crap out of me. Like I really did not like ET. And I don't think I've watched it since then. So I was thinking like maybe I should watch it again, but like the ET character was just like terrifying to me at whatever age it was that it came out. I think I was like 4. So it's not for me.
Not for you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I like the chapter where she talks about her relationship with Cameron Diaz from the friendship that was formed through Charlie's Angels. I thought like that's always really fun, especially because Cameron Diaz is someone that we don't see out anymore. She kind of moved on and did other things with her life, and she's just not as front and public. You don't see her on any tabloids. She's gone on and she's living her life, but you can tell that there's still a very strong friendship there from the cameo appearances she'll make when she does come on the show, or they're doing something together on Instagram or whatever, social media or whatever.
I loved, at the beginning when she was talking about I want to say it's a bougainvillea. I'm not a plant person, so I don't really know. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, this, beautiful bush that grew outside of her Hollywood childhood home. And first of all, I was impressed that she knows so much about flowers and like gardening. And that's like, I missed that, class at school. Basically, I was sick that day, apparently, because I kill every plant that I have, including orchids. And so what I loved was this whole concept that was kind of, I'm not sure if she intentionally did this or if it just kind of came out this way, but she wove throughout the entire book, this kind of attachment and then non-attachment and attachment, non-attachment. She, obviously had all these family dynamics at play that were challenging. She had, the whole emancipation thing. I mean, that has to make you at some level just feel vulnerable and alone. And she talks a little bit about, she didn't go into too much detail, right? Which I thought was really interesting, amazing, respectful, all of the above. But, throughout that whole weaving of her painting, this picture and basically using this mosaic of stories, you really see that she was looking for connection and community and building that with like basically family and friends of choice. And so talking about this bush at the beginning of the book, I thought was so significant because it was like, she was so upset when they took that bush out. She was just like lost without it. And it makes sense to me because it's like, yeah, I mean, for somebody who's been, having experiences that are less than stellar, especially, as a child, it's difficult to find your way sometimes on your own and by yourself. And so the things that you find familiar, give you peace, bring you to that place of comfort. And then boom, it's, oh, another one's gone. Oh, there goes this. And how, that was like a theme in her life. And I just wanted to cry when she was talking about Steven Spielberg. I just, how much she adored him and how she just really felt like he was this father figure for her and he kept her safe. And, I feel like that in life is something that, people step into our lives and into roles that are so significant like that sometimes. And they just don't really sometimes even know what an impact they really have on our lives, even though we can kind of tell them. And I just thought that was just so beautiful, the way she talked about him. And, it was just I thought it was a nice way of showing us that community can be found anywhere,
Yeah. I loved hearing the behind the scenes where her talking about Spielberg and just how he, went above and beyond to make their experience on set such a good experience. And and to your point, like I think we tend to think of like, oh, these actors, they're born into this and nepo baby, whatever. But I feel like her experience was so different, and just hearing like the history of, she had the Barrymore name, but she didn't come from like a lot of money. And I think it also had a lot to do with like, I don't remember the whole history of it, but somebody else spending all the money and somebody else was into like a lot of alcohol. So basically she kind of had to like, all she had to her was her name and, how she built a career based on that from a young age.
I love too that she was real. When she talked about her dad, she was able to talk about her dad in a way that was true to her experience with her dad. But I didn't feel like she was like bashing him or anything in the book. That's not the impression I got per se. I felt like she was very true to herself though, and talked a lot about how his behaviors affected her. And you could kind of infer, what that was really, truly like. And, back in those days, like we still were not really talking a lot about mental health. It wasn't super acceptable still. And so I just thought that was an interesting, just kind sort of way of honoring herself and being respectful to him ish, The
other thing that I think is like not lost on me is how unique she is. There's not going to be future little Drew Barrymores, right? Because when she got her start as a child actor, like we all remember going to the theater and watching E.T. or being scared by E.T. But nowadays, with the explosion of content and media and options, there will never be that one little standout actress that the whole world knows because we all watched that one film, right? There's too many options now. So there's not ever going to be another Drew Barrymore. Like there's just not, because the way that the world has changed. And so it makes her even more iconic in my eyes for having to do. I just can't even imagine having to live all your life on a stage where everybody's always watching your every move, talking about you, what you're doing, what you're eating, what you look like. Did you put on weight? Did you not wear makeup? Did you, I mean, just no, she can't go. I mean, always, 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 you know, and to just live so publicly and not always gracefully, but still, she just never stopped. She just kept going, you know, just kept going.
Yeah, it's so true. I feel like now, with social media, you can kind of just follow who you want to follow and not follow who if you don't want to.
Yeah.
And there's just such a huge influx of people. Now everybody has a platform that, yeah, it's not the same that it used to be 30 years ago.
No, but she's one of those celebrities that if you go and ask somebody that's a boomer, or you go and ask somebody that's a zennial, whatever we're calling them now, I don't know, Gen Z, like they both probably know who she is, which is like, we're just not going to see that much anymore. Right. We're just not. So I think makes her, she's so interesting. She's so interesting. And she has still not responded to the video request we made to make her an honorary sober curator for a day and invite us all to come on her show. But the answer that I'm getting from the universe is that it's still a yes. It's just going to come at a time that I least expect it.
Yeah.
So I just feel like,
let's go with that.
It's not, as long as it's not a no, it's still a chance for a yes.
That's right. That's right. Well, and I love that you guys touched on the addiction piece, the sobriety recovery piece, because I was wondering, I mean, like, dang, growing up in the spotlight, in the showbiz world, and then having everybody see your every move, right? I just wonder, like, sometimes I'm just really grateful for my own privacy or my options to privacy or to not be private. I think that's just a blessing and a gift, because I think it would be rough to be using and then to try to get sober. And then there's all this other stuff that people are talking about in regards to you, as you mentioned, Alyse, like people are always talking like, about even like her makeup or what she eat or what this and that. And I just wonder what that would be like to try and recover in a fragile state. I mean, when I was first sober, like, I mean, I just felt like everybody was staring at me all the time, and I'm not famous. So I just wonder what that would have been like and how that would have, I mean, she seems like a very resilient person to not let that in and of itself totally take her down.
Resilient is a good word to describe Drew, I think. There's a lot of words you can use to describe her, but resilient, I think, is a great word for her.
I liked her talking about marriage, and I don't know, I get that sense that in her own way, and I don't want this to be a negative, I'm saying this as a positive. She seems a lot like the whole Nora Ephron series of like Meg Ryan rom-coms. Like she kind of reminds me of somebody. It would be sort of along that vein to be married to Drew, like just kind of these ups and downs, and just things going on and happening, but yet I don't know, dude, I feel like she has a sense of self too, or she's found one through everything that she's been through. What do you think about her whole birth chapter, the one where she was having, I can't remember which daughter, but I just thought that was so special and precious. And I loved, you could tell a mom, she's a mom.
Yeah, she's definitely a mom.
And I loved that. And she's talking about like the difference in her kids. And
I can only imagine what kind of personalities her kids have, right? Because your kids they get some impact on their personality from the parents on some level. And I bet I would be thoroughly entertained to be at an event and have the opportunity to talk with her kids, just like normal everyday conversation, and just see what they're like, because I bet that a lot of her personality has rubbed off on them, and I'm sure they have their own personalities, of course, but like, it's pretty cool if Drew Barrymore is your mom. That's pretty cool.
I also was struck by what a good storyteller she is. I just, I really enjoyed the way, I mean, I could picture her just kind of sitting around chewing the fat at a slumber party and telling those stories, you know?
She writes the way that you think that she talks. She does have that skill where you can like, and because we obviously know what her voice sounds like and know how her body moves from all the movies and shows she's been in, like, it's easy. I'm a very visual reader. When I'm reading something, I'm definitely like figuring out the story and what does the house look like and what are they wearing, and like, you know, that's where my mind goes to all those things. And she just definitely, she's very easy to read because her writing comes across so conversational. Like, she's, you know, like you're reading not a diary, but like it just feels like she's let you into her inner circle.
Yeah. And I think one of the great things about this book too is that it's like, it's sort of a series of short stories. So you don't, it's written in that kind of way that everything is like, oh, read this, and then, you know, you can read that. So it doesn't, you know, it's like light reading where you can kind of like pick up somewhere else, you know, and you don't feel like you've like missed out on anything. I loved it.
I like that too. And as someone who is currently taking your writing course, Amy, and working on their own book, please don't ask me how far I've gotten. It feels like, you know, I really thought I would just sit down and look out my window and it would just fall out of me like I'm sober Carrie Bradshaw. And that has not so far been the example. But what, like, the outline and the chapters that I'm working on are very similar to the style of this book, that I've outlined all these different chapters of stories that I want to tell. I really don't yet see how they possibly connect with each other. I'm sure there's a thread that will be able to be woven through them, but right now I'm just trying to get it out because that's what you said, just get it out. And but I did sit down and map out all, and I even like sat down and brainstormed all these funny, like, the names of chapters to like serve as my inspiration, kind of like she's done. So rereading this book for the second time, because I read it again. I mean, I read it back when I got it the first time. I was like, yep, this is kind of the vibe I'm currently going on, since I don't really know what I'm doing, but with your guidance, I'm definitely making progress.
Well, I'm glad. And, you know, one thing I will say about that is that sometimes, like, the thread reveals itself before you even start. And you're like, oh, I totally know what this is going to be about. So I'm going to just put the stories in around this thread. And sometimes the thread kind of reveals itself last, you know? So just like, be patient. It will totally come if it hasn't yet. And it sounds, I know I want to read yours. So,
well, I mean, you two might be the only people that read it, you know, like I still am not writing it because I have some dreams of being a New York Times bestseller, although I would not turn down that opportunity either, to be clear. But like, I've just always known since I got sober, I have a book in me that needs to come out. And I've just sat on the sidelines and always talked about doing it and never done it. And now it feels like everybody has a book, and like, I totally missed the boat. And one day you were like, you didn't miss the boat. You can still write the book. And I was just like, oh, you're right. I can. So it's just excited. It's exciting to finally be on the journey, doing the thing that I always wanted to do, not talking about doing the thing, but actually doing it. And, whatever class you had a couple weeks back where it was like, no matter how it comes out, you're writing. So it's like, if you're making notes, you're writing. If you're talking into, like an Otter AI and it's transcribing, you're writing. Like, just get the story out. Don't worry about what format it's on. If it's on Post-its or your notebook or, you know, random places on your computer. And I was like, oh shit, I've gotten a lot more done than I thought I had, because in my mind, I decided writing was sitting at a computer like Carrie Bradshaw, looking out my window, writing and just having it fall out with this beautiful monologue, right? Of me having these deep philosophical questions with myself. And, yeah, that's not what is really happening. I suppose somebody might have that experience. It is not currently mine.
No. And even like, you know, Anne Lamott has this great
She's great. I love Anne Lamott.
piece of writing, and it's called Shitty First Drafts, right? And it basically talks about, like, you know, that whole process of how terrible first drafts are. And it's just like you're trying to get it out. and that she doesn't know anybody who just writes and then boom, they're done. Like they just come out with pure gold immediately. That it's kind of this process of wrestling with it and how uncomfortable that kind of feels and how self-aware you suddenly are, and kind of, that whole angst and fight with yourself about like, ooh, this is just, no, I didn't do this justice at all. And I'm going to have to rework this from 50 different angles and try again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that whole idea because that's really real. That's just how it is.
Is that a book?
It's part of it's, I can't remember where it is from. You can Google it. You just Google shitty first drafts and it will come right up. I can't remember exactly what, which part of her writing it's from, which book it's from, but yeah, it's pretty good. The laundry chapter that we mentioned earlier, the laundry chapter, I really liked that because I felt like it showed Drew's ability to find the simplicity in life and joy in like the simple things, and again, I feel like that is something that comes through so often in her show, in her work. I saw an episode of like, now I'm not going to, I feel terrible. This keeps happening to me that I cannot remember the actual names of things, but it's that carpool karaoke show. And
James Corbett?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Corbin?
Yes. And I can't remember if she was like, I don't think she was singing, right? But somehow they had an encounter with her. And again, back to this like authentic, real, she was trying to see her house or something. And there was like a big wall and she was going to climb the wall or try and get up on the wall so she could look over the, into where she had lived before and all this stuff. And somebody was like, what are you doing? And I love that she just seems like a normal person trying to find her way and navigate life, because I feel like in a lot of ways she deserves to be bitter. I mean, I feel like if that were me, I would just be hauling my big old bag of resentments all around. It may be a Louis Vuitton bag of resentments, but if I were her, I'd be hauling one. So she must have done, obviously, a ton of inner work along the way, which she isn't, shy about talking about that she's done. But I think it's a skill that people, they don't want to live with a bunch of baggage dragging them down that's going to make them these, just unhappy folks. And I feel like she's kind of really done well at mastering that. At least that's how it seems to me. It appears to me.
Yeah.
I think so too. And I think the hope there is that she may have had it for most of her life, but it feels like at this stage of her life that she's in now, she's really stepped into her own power. And I'm so excited to see what else she chooses to do. The talk show is going to run for however long a talk show runs. Maybe it's a decade. Maybe it's, who knows? Maybe she'll do more movies. Maybe she won't. Maybe there'll be more books. Maybe they won't. Maybe she'll decide to do Broadway sometime. Like she could really do anything. And it'll be really interesting to watch and just see how her career evolves. Because I don't get the idea that she's done evolving or that this is it. She hasn't arrived yet at all the things she's going to accomplish.
I totally agree with what Alyse is saying. And I think that's one of the great things about her is that she's constantly, doing new things and trying new things. And she's not just an actress, she's she has her own beauty business. She has a talk show. I mean, she has so many things that she's involved in, and just seeing, what she's done with her life is pretty incredible. I especially think when you consider that like the path that she could have gone, when you think about like other child stars and like that's not easy, and there's a lot of other child stars that have unfortunately had like really bad experiences, but just that the things that she's overcome and the person that she's become is so impressive.
Well, and that's kind of the title of this book, Wildflower, right? Wildflowers by nature are resilient because they grow in the wild, no matter what, no matter what the terrain or things that are being thrown at them, they continue to blossom. And I just feel like that is definitely something that we have so far seen her done to this point. And it doesn't seem like that is going to be changing anytime soon.
What do you think is her, like, if you were to dream it up, what do you think is her next thing? What do you think you haven't seen from Drew that you might see?
Besides becoming a sober curator?
Well, duh, that's obvious. So yeah, besides that.
Besides that.
Well, she already does movie production, right? Like she has her own production company.
She does. It's I don't know if it's as robust as Reese Witherspoon's, but it's definitely not nothing, right?
She'll have a shoe line like Jessica Simpson.
Love it.
I would, you know what though? If she had shoes, glasses, clothing, if I knew where to go get some of those suits and glasses, I'd go buy that right now. Like, I love her styling. I've always loved her styling. It's always been a little walk to the beat of her own drummer. Like I feel like it always has been. So I would buy whatever she was peddling for sure.
So I like this idea of clothing, gang. I like it a lot. Because I feel like, Drew, if you are listening, which obviously, of course,
she probably is. Yeah, she probably is.
Totally. Here's what I need someone to do is come up with an incredible perimenopause and menopause line for those of us in that sort of middle phase of life who don't know what to wear anymore because our bodies have changed and things just kind of don't fit the way they used to. And we don't want to look like we're dressing too young, but we're not ready for Chicos. But we're nothing against Chicos. Thank you for addressing our crowds age 50 and up. But it would be great to have somebody who's like going to make some cooling items, particularly for summer, some lightweight things. I feel like Drew could be the person who could pull that off.
Absolutely. I mean, she definitely already has quite the aesthetic that she has that's like stylish but covered up right now. And it's funny that you mentioned all of this because I woke up in the middle of the night and I sleep with a fan blowing directly on me. It is not oscillating. It is blowing directly on me. And I woke up and I was like, not cool. I was very sticky and I was just like, what is happening? And I realized the fan had, turned itself off. And I was just like, oh, this is not working. This is not working. I need better sheets, better air, better nightgown, better whatever. Like, I was just like, none of this situation is great right now. And these are, the challenges of being in your mid to late 40s. I mean, I'm assuming I can't say that 47 is early 40s anymore. Well, I'm hanging on to 47 by like 1 month, to be clear. So,
well, I'm right behind you because I'm 40. Yeah, I'm 46. So,
yeah,
I'm fast approaching that. But so funny that you should mention sleeping with the fan on, because I just read today briefly, and then I got distracted or I had to do something else, but it could have been both. I never read fully into why this was, and it could be not true, not accurate, but it was something about like sleeping with the fan on, like your death rate goes up or something like this. And I'm like, look, my whole life, forever. Now, I have done a lot of things that could have put me on death's door, and a lot of things that were not in my control that put me on death's door as well. But sleeping with the fan on, I feel like, you know what, people, there are standards that we need to be able to, we have rights. And I think that we have the right to sleep with a fan on and not be afraid of it. I mean, is there something obvious here that I am missing? I mean, is the blade going to fly out of the fan and slit my throat? What is the danger? And if it's political,
that took a really dark turn, turn.
I know. I'm sorry. if it's political, we don't have to talk about it. But because I feel like sometimes these things always end up with a political twist. But I'm just wondering, what the heck was that about? And Drew, do you sleep with the fan on?
I bet she does. Well, I mean, maybe she has fantastic air conditioning and she doesn't need to, but up here in the Pacific Northwest, we don't, that's not as common, shall you say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you know what the link is between fans and death?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't. But I do know that over the course of your lifetime, the average person will swallow 9 spiders that crawl into your mouth while you're sleeping. So you're welcome for that little juicy tidbit.
That's a good chestnut.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. I hope they're small spiders.
Yeah, well, so me too.
Just literally just sitting out here, and I threw my empty LaCroix can at the spider that came down from my pergola. So
you didn't even scream.
No, but I muted myself as I was throwing it.
That was last week. I was on a Zoom call for work, and I had little sleep because I've been dealing with a possum under my house. Don't even get me started. There's rabbits in the front yard. It's like Dr. Doolittle up in here. I'm not into this home ownership thing at all. I'm ready to get back into a high rise. But where was I going? So I was on the Zoom call, and on a spider, quite this big, crawled over the screen of my laptop that I was on. And so you couldn't see it on the camera, but I could see it. And thankfully I was on mute because we all know that I'm very loud. I just started screaming and like ran out of the room. Completely forgot I was on a call. I just was like, I had to go get something to kill it. Sorry for the spider lovers in the house. But it was terrifying because it just like came over the screen. And I was just like, what
you need one of those electric fly swatters. Those things are amazing.
Oh,
and electric fly swatter.
You put it, it's like battery operated. You get them on Amazon and you just like touch it and it's like dead. So you don't have to worry about like bug guts all over your computer screen or wherever you see it, like shoes. You don't have to do all that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're amazing. Definitely recommend it.
Maybe that's what's next for Drew is she brands her own electric fly swatter that also doubles as an evening sleeping fan. I don't know.
Well, and if not, I mean, possibly Drew could look into how to bring back Judy the water skiing elephant.
I'm still going to have to go look that up because I know you're not making it up, but I'm still not. I don't understand how an elephant is logistically water skiing. I'm a little perplexed.
Well, you're going to send the picture of yourself in the
dolphin, and you're all going to know what happened right before that picture was taken. Mm-hmm.
I will also send a photo of Judy, the water skiing elephant, and it will blow your mind and change your life. So all I'm saying is Drew seems like kind of compassionate. Perhaps when she was filming Blended, I keep calling it Blended as if that is the name of the movie to which I'm referring. So I hope that that's true because it's not like I wrote it down. But when they're on this African, safari / filming adventure, perhaps she could find an elephant suitable. I'm just saying, if she ever goes back and has a little extra carry-on luggage.
I can confirm it is called Blended. It was filmed in 2014. So you got it right.
Okay, good. There's hope for me yet. But the karaoke in the car thing, I'm going to have to find that clip because I don't know if I got that one right, but that's okay. All right. So as we wrap up, like any final thoughts about Wildflower, parenting, family dynamics, teenage rebellion, addiction? There's so many themes that were really encompassed. Love and relationships, her career evolution. Right. And Drew, we've got next steps figured out. So
yeah, we've got it all figured out. I think if you love Drew, you just put this book on your list to read. Like, right. It's just one to read, especially if you're someone who likes memoirs where people are just telling their stories. I think it's a very easy book to read. And I think that it's definitely enjoyable. And I will continue to fangirl her for I can't imagine that she could do anything that would turn me off from her. So I'm a fan for life.
I'm a fan too.
I would say, yeah, even if you're not like a massive Drew Barrymore fan, you will definitely come away loving her even more and having a lot more appreciation. And I should go watch E.T. No, that's what I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you should. But if you are going to go do that, please make sure to get some Reese's Pieces beforehand for the full experience.
You'll need them. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do.
Yeah. And I have an ET doll and an ET lunchbox and all kinds of ET paraphernalia. It makes for a very easy Halloween costume. One year I was Elliot. I just wore a black or a red hoodie, jeans, black Converse, and then I had a little basket and I put my ET doll in the front, and that was it. Boom. Most comfortable Halloween and some Reese's Pieces, and called it good. It was great.
Actually, that's a great idea.
I won best costume at this party. It was fantastic. Everyone's like, "Oh, so original." I was like, "Really? It's just what I had in my closet."
I love it. And I may or may not have had a serious crush on Elliot.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did see that Drew is also a Pisces, so it might be interesting to have on Alyse, who does the Sobercast with 6 on the Sober Curator, do her birth chart reading so we could learn even more about Drew if we haven't gotten creepy with this enough.
Like, that's not weird at all. Yeah.
No, not weird at all. It's just something I like to do in my free time.
Is look up people's signs. Yeah.
Well, she goes and she does an in-depth star chart reading where she's got like the latitude and longitude lines of where they were born and the time of day they were born. And like, I don't know what else she puts in there to like map out all these things, but it's fascinating when she does it because it's like, oh.
Well, maybe she could get Elliot's too.
Obviously for you. But I'm not going to make fun of you for Elliot because I loved, why am I going to blank on his name all of a sudden? The guy from Goonies that was also in The Hobbit.
Yeah. Sean Astin.
Sean, I love him. Love him. He was in my Tiger Beat on my wallpaper on my room as a kid, wallpaper. Sean Astin, 100% all the way.
Yep. And I was a big fan of the two Corys, and Corey Haim, God rest your soul. Love you. One of us, one of me. I mean, so yeah.
Did you know the other Corey, you can actually get to do a video for you on Cameo, and he's not that expensive. A couple $100
so listen,
maybe.
We might need to do that because I do have a friend who knows him in IRL. And we asked him to do a blurb for one of my books. And unfortunately, he did not respond to that Instagram direct message, which was shocking. I'm sure he just got busy. So, I mean, but that would be a Cameo would be fantastic. And I think they're all from that general genre anyway. Drew probably has his number. So, Drew, if you wouldn't mind passing that along, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay, gang. Well, everybody, go read Wildflower because that was great. And it's one that you can just read in like, little bite-sized chunks too, which is great. That's the beauty of the whole vignette idea.
Do we have the next book picked out? Because if not,
do you have a recommendation?
I do have a recommendation.
Let's hear it.
I want to make sure I get it right though, because I'm actually reading it right now. So I'm not just doing this, well, kind of, because I'm already kind of ahead, but okay, I've got it. I thought it was Smash, and it is not. It is Stash.
Oh.
My Life in Hiding, Laura Cathcart Robbins, and her husband, before she got divorced, and what this memoir is based on, she was still living with him and their boys. He's the president of Nickelodeon. And she was in Malibu and had a massive pill addiction. And I'm where I'm at in the story right now is she's just gotten to treatment, and she's hidden a bunch of pills in her tampons. So clever. Anyway, it's so far I'm really enjoying it.
Done and done. Okay.
I bought it because of the cover. Because look at the cover.
I was going to say, I love the cover.
This is like, I didn't need any more information. I was like, sold.
Yeah.
I do buy books by their cover. I absolutely 100% do. So
I get it. And I totally understand. Yeah.
Is there an audiobook too?
I'm sure there is. The quote on the front is an irresistibly delicious story that will sit in your bones and write over your memory like it happened to you. And that's from Holly Whitaker. And let me see if there's anybody else on here. God, it's Catherine Gray, our friend Catherine Gray. The evolving Laura of Stash reveals herself to be at once loving, resentful, soft, spiky, generous, bitchy, big-hearted, petty. I rooted for her throughout. It was brilliant.
Oh, love it. Well, you know how I love Catherine Gray, so that's
Catherine Gray. Yeah, so you should be sold. You should be
All
sold.
right.
and there is an audiobook. So
Yeah,
if people want to go on an audiobook.
So I think this should be the next one.
Okay, we're in. That's the one. Wonderful. All right, gang. Well, it has been a privilege and an honor. So in that spirit, everybody who is listening, please remember to be kind, rewind. Thank you for the honor of your time. Take what you like and leave the rest behind.
Thank you so much for listening to Eternally Amy. Amy Liz Harrison is a best-selling author, speaker, 12-step coach, meditation teacher, and recovery advocate. To find out more, please visit amylizharrison.com. Keep up with Amy on all platforms by following @AmyLizHarrison. Please subscribe and review this podcast. It means so much to us if you do.